Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumu, and it's great to be back on the show again. Last week, we showed you a report on the 2021 Sharjah International Book Fair. Sharjah International Book Fair is an amazing book fair that happens every year in the wonderful city of Sharjah. Sharjah is one of the 7 emirates of the United Arab Emirates. Beautiful, beautiful city. And the book fair is incredible. You saw that report last week, and we promised we're going to show you a second part this week. So we're going to get the show started with this second part of the report on Sharjah International Book Fair 2021. Enjoy this.
The Sharjah International Book Fair has been a meeting point for literary figures from across the world for 40 years. It brings together several lovers of literature while it displays millions of books. Rare books are not an exception. Three antiquarian stores are present for this 40th edition. With several rarities. Replicas of the 4 of the 7 wonders of the world of books. The most expensive book, Codex Leicester. The most important scientific book in mankind's history, De Revolutionibus. The most important European book about the Arabic culture. The most mysterious book, Karl Marx's Le Capital, Charles Darwin's Origin of Species. Shakespeare's Comedy of Play, among others. But this climate change collection with over 800 works take prominence. It outshines the 15 million books exhibited this year in financial value. It is the most expensive, priced at £1.69 million. That is over 800 million naira. It's an assemblage of first edition works, signed copies, original bindings, and iconic visual materials from renowned scientists, with some from Eunice Newton-Foote, on the heating effect of carbon dioxide. It makes the most expensive at the fair this year, with over 500 years of knowledge enclosed in it. Is it too pricey for a book whose need is now? When climate change feels more real than ever?
Not necessarily. It's about finding the kind of institution that wants to take in such a special, a specialised collection, and whether they have if they want to become sort of a centre of excellence for climate change.
Not much of African participation at the book fair is recorded in the past. This year, 8 African countries make up the list of 9 countries participating for the first time. They showcase the blend of Africa.
A lot of African names this year with us in Sharjah International Book Fair. A huge number of authors who came and participated in Sharjah. Over 1,632 publishing houses from 83 countries. The first time for South Africa to participate in the Sharjah International, south of Sudan to participate in Sharjah Book Fair. Uganda, Mozambique, many Kenya, Zanzibar, I mean all the countries most of the countries in Africa are participating this year in Sharjah International Book Fair.
2021 Nobel Prize winner in literature Abdul Razak Gurna and Trevor Noah are among the African personalities who attend the event. Gurna, who headlines the event, shares his thoughts on African authors.
I don't think it's the case that there are few African writers visible. I suppose it depends where you're looking or where you're standing. I think so far as mainstream publishing in the UK is concerned, it certainly is not the case that African writers are not visible. When the time when those 12 years we were discussing earlier, you would have been hard to find more than one or two who were being published in the UK, except for those that will be published in the African Writers series by the Heinemann series. And those are mainly for distribution outside of the UK. Not that they weren't available, but they're really meant for schools, for educational purposes and so on, which is not to say that that is to diminish their quality. It's not all of them anyway, some of them perhaps.
Trevor Noah brings memories of his South African childhood spread on the pages of his book, Bunny Crime, to the delight of the crowd.
When you write a book, and you're writing a book about yourself, your first instinct is to make yourself a hero. Your first instinct is to hide every flaw of yours. Your first instinct is to make it seem like things were always okay and you were always doing well. But that's not the reality. And so when I wrote the book, the one thing I promised was to put the truth on the page and then deal with it from there. And because the world has conditioned us to put on a bright face when we see others, we forget how many of us are suffering on the inside when we're smiling on the outside. And so for me, I think that was one of my greatest blessings, was having people share that with me and say, thank you for sharing that, because I feel seen, even though you were just saying that for yourself. And so that was honestly one of my favorite experiences of writing the book.
Some other African authors participate in literary discussions. Journalist and author of The Dance of Jacaranda, Peter Kimani from Kenya.
I think African history to this date has been defined by the lenses of those early missionaries, explorers, journalists, and I see a reproduction of this colonial discourse even in contemporary society, contemporary journalism, contemporary literature. And that's a kind of legacy that we as writers of the continent are seeking to dismantle. And the problem is that the institution of colonization was very organized. And we are responding this in individual efforts.
Jennifer Makumbi, a novelist and short story writer from Uganda.
For a long time, our books have been published in Europe. But Europeans have not treated Africa as a market. When they market the books, when they advertise the books, they don't advertise in Africa. They always focus on the Western market, and then we imagine that Africans don't read. And so Africans, when the books, for example, my books, when they arrive in Africa, they're so expensive. Only rich people can afford them because they're published out here, you know. But I think if we start to invest in the African market, okay, if we start to hold such book fairs like this one, okay, if we had this book fair, one of them in East Africa, and we call, forgive me, I'm going to East Africa first, and we call all the East Africans to present their creativity, but also bring the children from all over those countries and introduce them to authors, to books, and to all these wonderful things that are happening here. We are creating a market for tomorrow.
Some others participate in book signing for the first time. Including 13-year-old author Candy Summers, who was the only one last year. While the presence of these African literary personalities brought the African flavor to the table, literature from the region did not resonate to its capacity at the fair. In the midst of 15 million books of several literatures from around the world displayed in thousands of stalls, this one stands alone representing African literature with 50 titles and 8 authors. Off-putting, but it is a notch above last year, which had 1 author and 1 book. Candy Summers Going Home. Her book takes the shine of the pavilion.
I wrote my book Going Home, Diary of a Teenage Alien, because I've always been into outer space, and moving here was kind of like moving to an alien planet. So I figured to mix 2 of those together to make a great book would be a good idea. I hope to inspire people my age and of my colour to show them that they can do anything, no matter where they're from and how old they are.
Candy and these African authors are assembled by the Black Book Collective, who plan to attract more African flair to book fairs in the UAE and beyond.
We came to Sharjah Book Fair because we have been going to book fairs with her since she was a child in Abu Dhabi, in Al Ain and in Sharjah. So upon completing the book, we missed the deadline in having the books to come to Sharjah Book Fair, but we did come, we did pay to come here, and we had 1 copy of a book with us. So we had to just improvise. When the guys say to us, "Are you gonna be ready for the morning?" We didn't have any books, so we get some posters, we get our artwork, and we get a lot of flyers, and we decorate the booth, and off we go. So following that event, we decided that we want to open up this to other Black authors because we were the only ones here. And we want to open it up to let people be a part of it and feel proud and confident of what they're doing, and encourage them to continue to write. But they have to be on the road, they have to get out there to market and promote their book. We're planning to take this globally, we're planning to take this to all the other book fairs across the world, in Europe, America, and we have started in the UAE because UAE has got 2 of the biggest book fair, the Abu Dhabi Book Fair and the Sharjah Book Fair, and this is our 2nd time at Sharjah Book Fair.
Others hope for more representation of the region.
There has been a lot of interest. Like, people have come through and they're like, oh wow, there's quite a lot going on then that we didn't know about, you know? And they're like, you came all the way from Zambia for this? This is amazing, you know? So I think we could do a lot more in terms of people getting interested. This is a very good start, and I think we can do a lot more. We can have bigger stalls because there's a lot of books out there. I mean, in Nigeria alone, I mean, how many authors do we have there? So yeah.
To be honest with you, it's quite disappointing. I don't see enough. We're the only store here. When I look around a lot of the other stores, I don't see much representation, and that's one of the reasons why I started writing, in order to have more children and diverse children, characters that look like children that look like myself. I would like to see a bigger presence. I think it's important. You know, I've lived in the UAE for 9 years, and I've worked in many international schools. There are many children that look just like myself in the schools, and there's not enough representation for children, black children specifically, but also even Emirati children. I don't see enough representation for them, and a lot of the books we use in most of the schools here are very Western, very English, and it's really good for children to get a diverse representation rather than just one-sided views from stories.
The Book Authority says this is the biggest African participation, yet the continent's literature is not available enough. A region with several beautiful writers who have put the African culture on pages, keeping its heritage alive just like Sharjah is doing with the Arabic literature is imperative. Presentation of African literature at fairs like this can help expose the region's culture to relevant global audiences. The significance of culture and languages resonates at the Sharjah International Book Fair. The event provides the platform and opportunities for Africa's literary figures to harness.
amazing book fair it is. You need to be at Sharjah to really enjoy the Sharjah International Book Fair. And did you know that Nigeria also has an international book fair? The Nigeria International Book Fair happens every year. Prior to this year, it used to happen at the University of Lagos, but then it took a new turn this year. But look out for it next year at, we're not sure the venue yet, it will soon be announced, but it's always fun attending the Nigeria International Book Fair, always fun. Publishers and writers and book lovers coming from all over the country together in one place, almost like a book festival, so to speak. Up next is a report on the launch of this intriguing book titled The Determined Father, Lessons from My Journey with My Autistic Son. Very moving, very captivating, very inspiring book. Written by Charles Akindayomi. The book was recently launched in Lagos. Enjoy this report on the launch.